course, one and only Ron Harlow for the afternoon fix will be on today at 4 o'clock. Hey, guys, you guys listen to this every day. You listen at noontime to an amazing show about entrepreneurialism, about business personalities, just about the energy of what is behind entrepreneurialism. And the guy behind that has a huge energy too, and that's Ken Rutkowski. You guys listen to him as the host of that show, and he's on the line right now. Hey, Ken, how you doing today, buddy?
Good morning, guys. I'm doing great.
It is morning.
Or guy.
Yeah, it's morning here and there. So, you know what? Even though it's 2 hours behind schedule, Ken is out in Los Angeles. Ken, before we go into some of these topics and so forth, you know what? I Googled it. Orland Park is about 12.8 miles away from here. So as growing up, you probably didn't listen, but you could have because you're really kind of a local guy.
I'm a local guy. I'm right there. I know everything. Well, I feel like every time I go back, I never have left. You know, it's the same. It's got that same hardcore working attitude. Everybody's big dreamers and they want stuff to happen. And I love feeling that when I go back. I try to go back every other week.
And, of course, comes back to Orland Park into this area, and you got to start at WJOL, which is an iconic radio station. I'll bet you shook that place up.
You know, I have and I'll send it to you. I have a newspaper cutting from 1996 when I started there. And actually, WJOL I launched the whole podcasting industry there. We were the first to ever broadcast live over the internet. First ever was right there. So, I mean, the Midwest, we got a lot of great history that most people don't even know about, and cool stuff happens there. It's just we need guys like you to go off and announce and talk about it.
You got it. I mean, that's obviously what we're doing here at the Commercialization Center. But let's talk about your show for a second. Noon to 2, you're on over 70 radio stations around the country. If you look at that concept from the outside and you say, you know, it's almost like looking at ESPN in the beginning. Who's gonna want to listen to sports or watch sports all day long? Who's gonna want to listen and talk about entrepreneurialism, venture capital, high tech, business in general at their lunchtime? You guys are getting some tremendous success. What made you think that concept would work?
Actually started from my son. My son who's 13. If I asked him who a rock star was, I would expect like the word Bono from him or somebody like that, and he would say Mark Zuckerberg. And I'm thinking, wow, I mean, kids these days really look at the ones that are changing the world in a business way as the rock stars, not the musicians, not the ones that are touring. And we started thinking, well, if my son, who I would think is atypical, thinks that way, I wonder what America thinks. And we certainly found that the rock stars of the world are the ones that are putting their neck out on the line trying to create businesses. And it's not just the big names, it's the mom and pops that have the brick and mortar stores right down the street. They're the ones that are taking the risk and putting all their money in gambling to find success. And I think most of us have that passion and dream to do it. It's a lot easier to do that than get on stage and play an instrument. It's a lot easier for us to, launch a business. And that's who I want to talk to. I want to inspire them and show them that everybody can be independent and do it. I mean, look, you've done it. I mean, this whole empire that you've created is all about risks. And every morning you kind of wake up unemployed, not saying you don't have a job, but you don't know what's going to happen every day. You don't work for somebody. You risk everything every day to make your business work, right?
Obviously, we're big proponents too of I call them pioneers. I'm looking right out my window right now at 4 different small businesses, and every day each one of those guys and gals have to wake up with that same feeling. And what you've been able to do with the show is it's part motivational, it's part instructional, and part entertainment. I think that your show, in part of the reason that we're so excited about carrying it and telling all of the students and entrepreneurs around and make sure that they listen to it, is that it makes you feel like you're not alone doing that. Do you ever hear that before?
Well, I think everyone does initially feel like they're alone, and that's the scary part, but they're not, and you're right. And in most local communities, there's so many groups out there that you could connect with, or even online, so you don't feel like you're alone. But I think that's the first scary point is you do feel like every day you go off and there's no one else feeling like you do, feeling like you're about to risk everything. You got to find a group. You got to find people you could talk to. Like-minded people are going through the same situation that may have already gone through either the same brick walls that they found ways around, or they failed fast and recovered quickly. But you got to make sure you know that you're not alone. There's other people like you, not just in the same town, but around the world doing exactly the same thing. And that's, again, putting their necks out on the line, making things happen.
Ken, let's talk a little bit about you and your background. People listen to you. You give some of it. You give little flashes of it during the show from noon to 2. But you come out.
I know where you're going with this.
Yeah,
I know where you're going with
this. Yes, I know. You know what? I used to have a guy that was on with me all the time, and he used to be a male dancer / stripper, and we called him Dave.
I knew you were going to do this.
I knew you were. Come on, stop. Dave the Naked Donut Maker. So and he was a huge part of the show for a long time. And then all of a sudden, I found that you have a varied past too. So give us the Reader's Digest version of Ken Rutkowski.
Oh God. Okay, let's be realistic, and I'm going to go and use the entrepreneur side. Everybody has to go off and search for themselves before they find themselves, and I think most entrepreneurs have had between 15 to 30 jobs before they found exactly what their passion was. And right after college, I went to seminary up in Mundelein. And I was going to become a priest. Realized that wasn't the destination for me. I dropped out, and I became a Chippendale dancer. And it was working great until Mom caught me, and she said I couldn't have that as a career choice anymore. But yeah, I was a Chippendale dancer. I also made tombstones in Macomb, Illinois. I mean, I worked at Chi-Chi's when Chi-Chi's was around. I mean, I had every job possible until I found my first real job. And that's what it took. I mean, come on, how many weird jobs? You and I actually worked for, I think, the same company in the 80s, didn't we?
Bud Frazier at the Board of Trade got me my start. And evidently we found out that Ken also worked for Bud Frazier. And one day I'm going to write a book about Bud Frazier stories. But he got me my start. You worked at the Board of Trade. How come that didn't work? Or how come you left the Board of Trade at some point?
Well, if you worked at the Board of Trade, you know what time we had to get there. I mean, we had to leave the house around 4:30 to get there, maybe even earlier. And I mean, it was a tedious job, and guys around us either were out of shape or they were just mad as hell. And you realize that if you're going to stay in that business, it takes a different kind of person. I know you did. But that wasn't my career. I didn't want to get up that early. There's no way. I became a software designer. It was a lot easier. It was more on my time. But it's just amazing that you and I worked at the same place. But do you remember getting up that early every single day?
Yeah, and I know that is a problem. I talked to Dan McNeil, a longtime guy on the radio here the other day, and I was talking about different shifts on the radio, and he's just like, you know what, doing that morning shift, it's just I can never make that adjustment, or it's very difficult for me to make that adjustment. For me though, Ken, I like getting up in the morning, being alone, a little bit of alone time, getting a jump on the world, maybe taking a nap a little bit later. Not everyone can do that. I understand that completely. Hey, listen, let's talk about what you did then. All right, you're college, Western Illinois, right?
Yep. Yeah, I went to Macomb.
Yeah, met Western, then you come out, you're going to be a priest, and then you're going to go to, then you be Chippendale dancer, then you go into software design. I mean, I've already lost, but I know that. Tell us what you do now, who you are, and I know this is difficult because what you're finding here is the guys that interview people all the time. Sometimes you feel a little uncomfortable about that, but I'm going to pin you down. I want to know exactly what you do and what makes Ken Rutkowski tick. What's your job right now?
Not a problem. I'll oversimplify it to narrow it down, and I'll use an example which I think a lot of us could associate to. I'm what's called a super connector. So I try to meet 10 to 15 new people every single day, and people are my product. I mean, I got to find as many people as I can and find out where they connect. When I came to Los Angeles, it's a tough town in LA. It really is, coming from the Midwest. And I met what's called the $30,000 millionaires, meaning this: they pretended to be worth a fortune, but when you really started to get to know them, it was too late. They siphoned your relationships. They may have taken some of your money, and they've given you a bad name. So over the course of 3 years moving to Los Angeles, I met too many $30,000 millionaires that really affected my business. So I created a group called METAL, which stands for Media, Entertainment, Technology Alpha Leaders. 1,600 people every Saturday, about 200 to 300 of us get together. And we're all about what's called deal flow. We find out where there's opportunities to invest, to leverage our relationships so we can have exponential growth on what we do. So I use that group as a, like you called it, pioneers to find out where the opportunities are. So my job every single day is to foster relationships. So I'm a hyper networker is what I do. I invest in companies, relationships, and opportunities. I hope I oversimplified it.
No, you also do a show here on WJOB in the middle of the day, and you've mentioned that $30,000 millionaire a number of times. But I'm going to shift the conversation right now. As you well know, we're in the middle of the Purdue Commercialization Center. I actually asked them to turn off the jackhammer for a few minutes while I interviewed you here. And ostensibly, it's an entrepreneurship center, accelerator, innovation center, all in one. So think about areas around the country that have been able to give birth to a venture capital, high-tech entrepreneurship industry, and give us a couple success stories in your mind.
Okay, so I Hammond, Indiana, really excited about what's going on out there. Actually, the whole Chicago, Indiana, that corridor, there's a lot of hot stuff going on, and that is because you got great educational institutions that are out there that are fostering outside the box students that are seeing opportunity. Number two, there is accessibility to capital, which we're starting to see. Finally, especially in the Midwest, there's investment dollars. I'm not talking about bank loans, but investment dollars where other people are willing to take a risk for growth in a great idea. The other thing is we're seeing that rent has come down to a point to where you can get a great office in a great space. There's great transportation. Now, here's the crazy one, okay? And I think you may have heard me say this every once in a while, Jeff, and that is, do you know what EDM is?
I did hear you talk about it. It's not ringing a bell. Go ahead.
It stands for electronic dance music. And when there's an electronic dance music movement, it's this like-minded group of young entrepreneurs that are great workers to get businesses going. And your part of the country has a great EDM scene. By bringing all those things together, we're actually seeing sparks of businesses. So it's not just the Midwest, the area where you guys are at. It's also Austin, Texas, Boulder, Colorado, Atlanta. Boulder's got the same thing going on. So right now, we're the epicenter of opportunity. For the next 5 years, we're going to see huge growth and great ideas. I'm going to say in your area, we're going to see great transportation, agricultural ideas, industrial design ideas that will literally change the way we do things. This is a great time to be entrepreneurs. It's awesome.
So let's get it localized a little bit more. You grow up in Orland Park. You come back here all the time. About 1871 in Chicago. There's a huge scene in Indianapolis, also a huge innovation scene sparked by a lot of state dollars and so forth. So we're kind of in the middle of that. And we have a dry area here, and we have a lot of technology here with both Indiana, Purdue here in this area, and a lot of industry and so forth. Looking at us right here, Northwest Indiana, and perhaps like Cal City, South Holland, and the south suburbs over there, what would you suggest for us to establish a culture of entrepreneurialism that can create jobs and keep our best and brightest here?
It goes right back to what you said earlier about not feeling alone. You got to create groups of people that have done it, and I can say done it meaning they've opened up either restaurants or brick and mortar buildings. You have to create mentorship programs. This is critical and crucial. You have to almost think about business like a religion, and a religion needs to have a pastor or a priest. You have to start with people that are willing to give, and by building, you will receive back. And you need to do that. And it sounds like that's exactly what you guys are doing. You're going to be creating an environment where people can learn what it takes to take their ideas to the next level. But it's not going to happen if no one creates these groups. unfortunately, it's paramount. And are you guys being pretty proactive on doing that?
We are not being very proactive on doing that. It's kind of working in kind of a little bit of a vacuum right now, but we're going to have the space right here, right next to me. I'm looking at the guys waiting for me to get done with this interview so they can continue to crack walls down, and they're being very patient about it. We're going to have some amazing space, some pretty decent investment on the Purdue, and they've got a pretty good grant. And it's kind of a, to some extent, it's a build it and let's hope that they will come. But there's also a lot of technology around here, and there's a lot of good ideas that need a place to land. But in terms of the groups, I wanted to hear what you had to say, because you know what? We're not doing that right now, Ken. That's the short answer.
You can do it. You really can. I mean, we're here to help you at least talk about it from 12 to 2 every day, but it takes a proactive attitude. You're a successful individual. Your background really shows that you put your neck on the line. You would be a great mentor. You really would, by the way. And hey, if you haven't done a mentor program, what's great is you get like 4 or 5 mentors together and you feed off of one another, and it gets you guys really excited, but then you could share it with the community locally. And also, I want to say one final thing, probably more important than that, is invest in the young girls and women coming out of college, because they are thinking very entrepreneurial too, and they're our future. But hey, it's time for you to be more proactive and just build the community, and watch within 3 to 5 years, you can become, and it sounds strange, you're not going to believe me when I say it, but it's true, you could become the next Silicon Valley as long as you invest in your community. There it is, Ken Rutkowski. I'm going to turn the tables on him. Ken, on the way out, here we go. Quick one. Favorite color? Are you going to do this to me? All right, blue. Go ahead. Last book you read? Actually, it was great. Good to Great. It's an old book. Do you know why I do this? Do you know why? Wait a second, Mr. Interviewer. All right, go ahead. Tell us why you do it. Why do you do it? Because what happens is you start seeing patterns amongst people, and the patterns are this. Once they get to certain things, like who their favorite entrepreneur is, things that are regular scheduled, they all have a pattern of how they live their life, but they're a bit abstract on the way they see their life. They all have a specific pattern of how they do their life every single day, but they're still learning about themselves as individuals. And what excites me about that is this. They're just like you and I. They're regular people, and that's what I try to prove every day. It doesn't take somebody that has superpowers to become successful. It just takes somebody with a passion and to be in a group to not feel alone. You know what? Thank you so much for that motivational speech. Here we go. All right. Last book, Good to Great. All right. Last movie you watched? The Equalizer, which was pretty awesome. All right. First girl you kissed? Leanne Chung, 11 years old, Naples, Florida. All right. Favorite Chicago athlete growing up? Oh, there's only one. It's Michael Jordan. Why? He's a god to this day. I mean, I could go all the way back. If you really want to go back, I would even say McMahon. McMahon. I would not have guessed that one. All right. How many times a day do you check your phone? 300, 400 times. Easily. Favorite meal? Easily. Pizza. Chicago. Thin crust pizza, not deep crust. All right. I'll follow that up. Best pizza in Chicago? Lou Mamadi's. Best bar in Chicago? God, you gotta do this to me. You know, I haven't been to a bar in a long time. It used to be Mother's, but I don't even know a good bar anymore. Which one's the best I should go to? Mother's is still there, my friend. Hey, I just wanted to see what you had to say. Hey, Ken, thank you so much. We love having you on in the new time, and we thank you for having a relationship with us. And we believe, man, we believe in all the stuff that you're saying. There's a lot of kids. There's like 4 or 5 interns right now listening to this interview. We're all behind you, and thank you so much, my friend. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. 12 to 2. I'll be on today talking to you guys. Thanks a lot. Thank you so much. Talk to you. AM 1230 WJOB. I'm out. And I did forget to talk about Andy Schoen, but we'll get to that next time. AM 1230 JOB.